have closely 50,000 registered voters, but out of those 50,000 registered voters, only 19% voted. It's always good to have organizations like ours and other organizations to go out and do voter registrations and get new voters in. However, the registered voters that we already have, they tend to not vote, and I just don't understand why. We have so many avenues of voting. We have mail-in voting, we have early voting, we have same-day voting. And speaking of early voting, we're having early voting starting August the 27th at the Westgate Mall. So if your mind is already made up of who you want to vote for, please exercise that right and do early voting at the Westgate Mall. And you have to be registered 10 days before the primary. The last day to register for that is tomorrow, but you have to go in person at City Hall to register. If you want to register in the general election, I think that the date is August 28th to register for that. So please, exercise your right to vote. People make a lot of excuses not to vote. I don't like the candidate. It's a waste of my time. It doesn't matter. Your vote does matter. So please vote. The candidates are out here campaigning. They put their heart and soul into it, so we owe it to them to at least cast a vote for somebody. You know, if it's more than one candidate running, you gotta like some of the issues. So please, I encourage you to vote. And that's my little talk on voting. Now, back to the debate. Tonight's debate is a run-rebuttal type of debate. In this debate, candidates will have a chance to refute the argument of the first candidate who is asked the question, but the first candidate is given the opportunity to close the debate in his or her rebuttal. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to the question, and the other candidates will have 60 seconds for a rebuttal. Another 60 seconds will be given to the initial candidate to close out. I ask each candidate to please adhere to the time. This will be the procedure for all the questions. The final question of the night will be asked by me, and each candidate will serve as your closing statement, and you will have 2 minutes to answer that question. Our panelists for the evening. This evening we have Dr. Patricia Jackson, who is the interim executive director of Brockton Redevelopment Authority, and she's the chair of our political action committee. We have Courtney Henderson. She's the chair of our Women in the NAACP. She's the founder and CEO of Develop and Empower Consulting LLC, and she has a talk show called Kick Back with Courtney. So Courtney, congratulations on that. And now to our candidates. Tonight, we have Shirley Asack, Ward 7 Counselor. We have Rita Mendes, Counselor at Large. And Fred Fontaine, independent and write-in candidates. So candidates, are you ready? Are you ready for the tough questions? You sure now? Last chance. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Pat, we'll start with you.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, candidates. So question number 1. The newly redrawn map of the 11th Plymouth District, which is completely now in Brockton and will represent a little over 40,000 people in that specific district, in a city such as Brockton that has passed the 100,000 population mark, which is now a minority city, points to a historic opportunity for the city and all 3 candidates. You 3 candidates will be running for a state house seat for the first time. That said, can each of you express your feelings about this historic new pathway given to Brockton? We will start with you, Ms. Asack, for 90 seconds, followed by Mr. Fontaine for 90 seconds, and then finishing up with Ms. Mendes for 90 seconds.
Thank you for that question, Pat. I do have to say, though, this isn't the first time I've run for state office, and this isn't the first minority-majority district. About 7 years ago, the map was redrawn, and we did have a minority-majority district, which is held now by State Representative Jerry Cassidy. But it's my honor to run for this district. I'm very excited about it. It's all Brockton, and that's why I'm passionate about it, because it is all Brockton. I have made my life in living here, and I'm here to serve the city of Brockton. It's public service. and I'm looking forward to being able to bring back to Brockton and to this minority-majority district.
Mr. Fontaine?
All right, first of all, thank you, the chairwoman, Phyllis, for hosting the night. And also thank you for all of you folks who decided to come tonight, because there's not too many folks around here. But so far, the few of you here that's been concerned about Brockton. And the question you asked is very important, because guess what? District 11, this is a district was created exactly to help the folks living in that district. And most of us here, as me, for instance, I've been living here for the past 30 years. 22 years in Ward 7 as a property owner, and 22 years as a small business owner in that district. So I know the struggle that they are going through, because I've been there, I'm still there. So I'm very concerned. I don't have to run for that position. I don't need any position, I don't need it, seriously. But I'm concerned because when I see that district, the way it's been treated, that's why I decided to run. You got to remember, 65 to 70% of that district is from, and it's like Cape Verdean and Haitian. We do have a few other culture right there as well. But if you want to represent that district, you want to bring the minority, which is a majority of that district, to help them out. And I've been there. I do many things, but I'm going to wait because there's more questions to come, and I'm going to let it go, so I don't want to stay that long. So anyway, remember that. District 11, this is a district for you folks who's living there, who've been suffering for 30 years. Thank you.
Ms. Mendes?
Thank you so much for that question. This is a very important district. And although the majority of the population is actually minority, my intentions and my goal is to represent all of the residents in that district, and also to work in collaboration with the other two state delegations in the city of Brockton, because right now I represent citywide. I love the entire city of Brockton. I was elected by the entire city of Brockton to represent them and speak on their behalf. And now I will continue to do so as a state representative, working in collaboration with the other state delegation and representing all of the residents in District 11 and also citywide, because in the end, the entire city of Brockton will benefit. So yes, it is a majority-minority district, but our issues are human issues, issues that are faced by all of us, in respect of race, color. All of us, we have the same issues. We suffer with the same housing crisis. We suffer with the same cost of living that is increasing in respect of our color, in respect of our language that we speak at home, and I am so proud to be running for that district. Thank you so much for that question.
All right, you ready?
Next question.
Next question. So question 2. The district in which you are running to get elected was specifically designated to have a minority elected to represent the district. The legislative intent was to increase representation of men or women of color in the House. Can you please give a personal or professional accomplishment that has shown that Black Lives Matter? We're going to start with Ms. Mendes on this one. You have 90 seconds. Ms. Asack, you have 60 seconds. And then Mr. Fontaine, you have 60 seconds, followed by Ms. Mendes with 60 seconds to close.
Thank you so much. My personal life and my lived experiences really shows that what I've been through in this country. I came to this country, I didn't speak the language, I went to school, and living all the difficulties. So when it talks about this district and the issues that we face, I've lived through them. Paycheck to paycheck, not knowing where to sleep at night, just really facing all the issues that we face, that the residents, that the people of Brockton face every day. And today, I'm proud to say that because of the public education that I received in the city of Brockton, because of the mentors that I had in this school where we are today. And because of that, I was able to attend Massasoit, then I went to UMass Dartmouth, and then I went to law school, and I became an attorney, but not just any attorney, an attorney that focused on immigration to help specifically people that are going through issues every day. So I am here to really do the social work, help the residents, help the people, help in every possible way that I can. And my personal life story is an example of that.
Ms. Asack?
Thank you for that question. So a lot of people don't know that I wasn't born in the United States. My parents immigrated here when I was 7 years old. So I know the struggles of being an immigrant. I know the struggles of not speaking English, not understanding. I started school at 7 years old, not knowing a single word of English here. And I owe a lot to the Brockton Public Schools, and it's made me who I am today. So I consider myself a minority. I consider myself, English isn't my first language, and I have been, in the past 9 years, on the city council. I represent, even though I'm a Ward 7 city councilor, when we vote for the whole city. We represent the whole city as a whole, and I feel that I have supported other candidates of color, and I have worked with amazing politicians of color. I can name a lot of them. I serve with them now, and I've served with them in the past, and I've always supported them, even though we shared ideas, and that's what this job is about. It's about working together. It's about bringing ideas together. It's about representing the community as a whole, and for minorities and for people who are, minorities because they have been left out, but we will support them, help them move forward, and that's my goal, is to work together with our community, with the minority community. Thank you.
Mr. Fontaine?
Thank you for the question. That's a beautiful question. I love it. Let me tell you something. All life matter, especially black life matter, because you know what? They are the ones suffering the most. Because as a black man myself, sometimes you feel like you have no representation. And this representation, we get an opportunity tonight, people who are listening, to at least bring that to the black community, which is the majority of that District 11. We do need this. Let me tell you why. Because moving from Haiti to Cambridge and to Brockton, I see what was going on. I become the first guy from the Haitian community to run for state rep. I mean, for now, for state rep, but before, guess what? I'm the first guy who tried to bring business to this community, to teach those young folks from Brockton High as a bus driver to follow me. And I do feel them, because guess what? In that district, there was no one until now to show up to see all the suffering.
Mr. Fontaine?
Time is up.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Ms. Mendes? Ms. Mendes, if you want to follow the close.
The lived experiences really matter, but also speaking the language of the community. And I've been out there. I've been listening to the struggles of this district every day, hearing their issues, their concerns, and I'm ready to represent them at a state level and to really fight for funding, so that way we can bring back to our city and bring back to the communities that are most harmed by all the different things that we see, these racial issues, that we must address it right away. So I'm proud to be represented and to have this opportunity to be elected and to serve in this very special district. Thank you.
You guys, this next question.
Do I get the rebuttal?
Oh, nope. You did. Oh, no, I think it was Ms. Mendes closing.
Ms. Mendes closed.
The next question is, what policies will you pursue to end systemic racism in our criminal justice system? Ms. Asack, we'll start with you with 90 seconds, followed by Mr. Fontaine with 60 seconds, then Ms. Mendes with 60 seconds, and then we'll close with Ms. Asack with 60 seconds.
Thank you for that question. So part of this job, this job's all about, we're running to be lawmakers. So it's about creating laws that will end systemic racism. And so that's the first thing I will do. It's coming together with the community, seeing what the community believes in, creating laws that will work, that are enforceable, and that is my goal.
Thank you. Mr. Fontaine?
Thank you for the question. Let me tell you, my platform is exactly the policy that I'm probably going to be working on when I get elected. First of all, Brockton needs infrastructure, which is a basic thing we need, because Brockton is an old city. You got to remember that. We have to take the opportunity to take the money that President Biden offered to the state of Massachusetts, which we're not taking advantage of. That we need. If we don't do that in the next 10 years, this city is going to be destroyed, because this is an old city. All those pipes need to be replaced. All those lights need to be replaced. We need to do that. Second, we need education for our young folk coming in. This school needs to be replaced. For me, that need to be replaced. And also safety. We do need safety for District 11, because I myself, which is living in that district, sometimes we call, no one call until 1 hour before they come to help. So we need resources for the police force to help them out. So we do need that. This is going to be kind of a policy, those three, to help Brockton succeed in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. Next, we'll have Ms. Mendes.
Could you just repeat the question, please? I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
What policies will you pursue to end systemic racism in our criminal justice system?
Yes, thank you so much. The criminal justice system is so important, because it really impacts people of color the most. And what I, at this point, would eliminate is the cash bail system, because you could take two people that have been charged for the exact same crimes, and then at the end, one was able to pay bail and get out of jail. The other one have to wait trial and jail, and then the end result a completely different, just for the fact one has money to pay, the other one has no money to pay, and that is just wrong.
Thank you. And then we'll close with Ms. Asack.
Thank you. So just to respond to that, to Councilor Mendez's answer, it's great to have these ideas, but when you're a body of more than one, the decisions rely on many people. So my job would be to work together to advocate to get these laws changed and passed, because alone, one person can't do anything alone. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. The next question is, in the last 5 years, most housing projects added market rate apartments to Brockton's housing stock. There are bills in the legislature seeking for rent control. Do you support rent control? If yes, why? If no, how would you support safe, affordable housing for working Brockton families? We'll start with Mr. Fontaine with 90 seconds, Ms. Mendes with 60 seconds, Ms. Asack with 60 seconds, and then closing out with Mr. Fontaine again with 60 seconds.
Well, let me tell you guys, from Haiti again, I moved to Cambridge, and I was one of those guys who benefit from rent control. My house in Cambridge, I'm talking about Cambridge, the cost was only $380, $380 for a big apartment. And of course, I know, things change, life change. It's a tough decision sometimes even though I did benefit from it. But from my heart, I believe also the people who invest in that city, this is their house, they get that right to move it up. But we do need kind of a cap to help them out. We do need a cap to help both parties, the people who want to live here and the people who also invest here. Otherwise, they're going to go somewhere else.
Ms. Mendes.
Okay, sorry. So as a council at large, I did speak in favor of lifting the ban on rent control at the State House when this item came for a public hearing. And I do think it's important that we do that, because that allows each community to decide what is appropriate for that community. That would just open up, and each community can make their own determinations what would help that community. That would go back to their local officials to determine that, have public hearings, have the public have an input. But at this point, there's a ban on rent control, and I did speak in favor to lift that ban.
Thank you. Ms. Asack?
Thank you. So very simply, I do not support rent control where Brockton's concerned. We have absolutely no vacancies in Brockton. I have more people, more constituents that are contacting me because they can't find housing. We have no vacancies. So what I would like to see is more development, more market rate, more affordable housing for residents, but a good mixture, a good balance in our downtown. We have a lot of developments that are going up that I've been involved in the past 9 years. Our downtown is booming. We're going to have many new, a lot of new homes for people downtown. So why I don't support rent control is because how would we affect the developers, the owners of these buildings? I also don't want empty buildings. I want them to be able to pay their bills. So that's the reason why I would not support that. Thank you.
And now we'll close with Mr. Fontaine.
Well, listen, guys. Brockton is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city, and if we are concerned about it, I could have moved, go somewhere else, Easton, Milton, do something different. Well, I'm still here because I care. I'm a part of Brockton. I spend most of my life in Brockton. This is why I'm still here. And let me tell you, we get to take the advantage while the government giving money to the state of Massachusetts. I don't know, as a city councilors, I would have taken the advantage to push the mayor or all of you guys to bring that resources to Brockton. And when I get elected, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I bring the resources to help Brockton.
Thank you, candidates. Moving on to the next question. In your opinion, what are the most pertinent challenges that Brockton residents are facing right now, and how do you propose to address them? We're going to start with Ms. Mendes, followed by Mr. Fontaine, then Ms. Asack, and then we're going to close out with Ms. Mendes. So, Ms. Mendes?
The housing crisis is an issue that it's affecting the entire state, but at this point, it's really infrastructure. When I go in the doors and I talk to people, that is what they're concerned about. Their safety, whether people are speeding, and the roads and traffic and all these different things. And the Fair Share Amendment would be a great way to really work on that so we can pass it, and that would allow bringing in more resources, more funding for the city of Brockton to work on infrastructure issues, to work on roads, and to work on all of that. So that would be something that would directly benefit the community, and that has been a #1 concern that I've been hearing over and over as I go to the doors.
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Fontaine?
Well, like I said again, infrastructure is one. We do need safety for District 11 because I'm there, I'm still there. And also education is another thing because we do have a lot of folks coming from other states. When I say education, education comes from everywhere. When you do have other folks coming from everywhere, you have to teach them how the city is moving, because it's not only by teaching them school-wise. There's adults coming in. We have to show them how to live their life here. We have to, and also infrastructure, why we need that. Like I said, I just mentioned it before. Those roads are bad. While we are here, nobody's taking care of this road. You could see District 11, if you guys live there, I don't know how many of you live there, it is totally abandoned. Nobody cares for it. Nobody cares. I am here. I'm telling you, nobody cares. I drive night and day. If you make a phone call before they come over to help you out, Nobody cares. So infrastructure is going to be one. We need more police officers to help out because it seems to be they don't have enough time. So we should be giving them time, bring some money here to help them out. So school-wise, we have to help them out. So again, guys, pay attention. District 11 need help. This is why I'm running.
Mr. Fontaine, thank you. Ms. Asack?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, both Mr. Fontaine and Ms. Mendes mentioned infrastructure, but we have money coming in for infrastructure. It's coming in from the federal government. What my concerns are for working families. It's people are worried about inflation, gas prices, the cost of living. That's what the residents that I'm talking to are worried about. They're also worried about their children's education, how they're going to pay for their education, how we're going to keep programs in our schools. Yes, and small businesses want to keep their doors open. These are concerns that are happening right now in the city of Brockton. One of the biggest concerns that I'm dealing with is senior housing. Our seniors are living in deplorable conditions, and we need to fight for them to get more funding to have better living conditions. So these are all things that I will fight for at the state level to help bring in funding, to help our working families, our seniors, our students, and our small businesses. Thank you.
Ms. Mendes?
Yes, the new state funding is necessary to rebuild crumbling roads and bridges, improve our public schools from pre-K through college, expand access to vocational and technical training, invest in fast and reliable public transportation, make public higher education affordable again, and expand opportunities for healthy walking and bicycling, which is all the things that we've been discussing here today. So we need to fight for the fair share amendment to be passed because it's going to incorporate all of these main issues that we're seeing in the city of Brockton that is directly impacting our residents.
Thank you. So the next question. The country is explosive on the issue of race and culture. Recent reports in the Boston Globe and other major media outlets report not only a dramatic increase in white supremacy, but in violence against minorities. A march took place in Boston and an assault on a person of color happened. So, would you please tell us what you would do in terms of laws that will better protect minorities from these assaults? And also, do you feel that white supremacy is an issue in the state of Massachusetts? We're going to start with Ms. Asack, followed by Mr. Fontaine, then Ms. Mendes, and then close out with Ms. Asack.
Thank you. I'm going to answer the last part of your question first. I do not feel that Massachusetts has a problem with white supremacy. I've lived here, I grew up here, I lived here all my life, and I follow what's happening throughout the country. What's happening throughout the country, I think, isn't happening directly here in Massachusetts or to the level that it's happening throughout the country. But what I would do, violence is unacceptable at all levels, especially towards minorities. I will work together with agencies, with law enforcement, to create laws that will protect and that will help, that will be enforceable to be able to help minorities live safely in our community, because violence is unacceptable at all towards any human being. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fontaine?
Well, I believe everywhere in the United States, white supremacy exists, regardless they show you their way or they not. This is true. Maybe they are there, we don't know, but recently I heard, there was a few folks who were trying to, be here in Massachusetts. But we do have some folks who's fighting it. And myself, if I'm there, the first thing we have to do is hire more folks, black folks, to be involved as somebody who's working against this kind of behavior, because we do have some good folks, white folks, but some of them probably nuts. But we should be able to hire more folks who understand the system. Times are changing. We are all human beings. So we should be able to love each other, working together. By hiring more folks like black folks like me, at least we will see more changes coming up, and we will live in the best way that we need to live.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. Ms. Mendes?
This is a very uncomfortable topic that people don't like talking about, but white supremacy is real, and I think it has been shed to light more with the former president that kept talking about immigrants being criminals, that kept talking about people of color in a very manner that it was just so even uncomfortable to watch, and having our kids listening to all of that. So that is something we definitely need to address. I do think we need more police officers of color that can speak the language, that understands the culture, that knows how to deal with those issues without using excessive force, excessive violence in order to contain the situation. And we need to understand that people express how they're being treated in different ways. And a lot of times we see that on TV every day. It's happening all over, and it's getting closer and closer to home. It's getting closer and closer to Massachusetts. So it's not just out there, but it's closer and closer to home.
Thank you, Ms. Mendes. Ms. Asack?
Thank you. Once again, this is a major issue, and I would hate to believe that it's here directly in our home in the city of Brockton, because I feel we are a very diverse city. We're a melting pot, and I would do everything I can to eliminate white supremacy here in the city.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next question is, the United States Supreme Court threw out gun restrictions. Do you believe citizens have a right to have a firearm in the state of Massachusetts? And if you believe so, do you think there should be restrictions? First, we'll have Mr. Fontaine with his response, followed by Ms. Mendes, Ms. Asack, and then we'll close out with Mr. Fontaine.
Thank you again for the question. I'm a gun owner myself, but I carry a license for it. I believe anybody who wants to carry arms supposed to be having the permit to have it. This is your right to have it, since you carry it with your permit. And also, we got to have restriction. We're supposed to have restriction, because I think for a gun owner, you cannot have like those kind of rifles, to kill like in a minute so many folks. And I do believe this is your right. As the commandment said it, you could carry your arm. If you carry a gun, at least they know you have a license for it. It's okay to have it.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. Next will be Ms. Mendes.
Yes, absolutely. People do have a right to own and carry a gun. We're not here to take away rights from people. We've seen how that is leading in this day and age when we have a few selected trying to take away rights. That's not what we're here for, but we're here to make sure that people are protected, that those who have owned guns, that they can do it responsibly, that we don't have just ghost guns, that people can just buy it and we don't know who really owned the guns and can't track it. So there's laws, things that we can do to make sure that people are safe, but we're not here to take away rights from people, so.
Thank you. Ms. Asack?
Thank you. I believe in the right to have the right to carry, but I'm not against guns, but I am against gun violence, and I'm big on education. I think we need to educate gun carriers and children. We need to educate everyone about guns and gun violence. So I would not work on laws to eliminate guns, but to create gun safety and take away gun violence. Thank you.
Mr. Fontaine, we'll close out with you.
Also, you got to remember, if someone is sick, you don't have that right to carry a gun, because if you do give them, even though it's a legal gun, you have to figure out if that person is sick before you give him a gun. Because a gun does kill people. People kill people. So that is what it is.
Thank you, candidates. The next question is, what will you do over the long term to ensure quality health care at an affordable cost for all? Ms. Mendes will start with you, followed by Ms. Asack, then Mr. Fontaine, and then back to Ms. Mendes for the closing.
Thank you so much for that question. And I do see a lot of people that are afraid to even take an ambulance, go to the hospital because they're afraid, because they only have the emergency only type of coverage for the insurance. So even though Massachusetts is a little bit better than most of other states, we have to work in order to lower the healthcare costs. So I do believe in a single payer system in Massachusetts, that we should implement that, because that would be a way to reduce the cost for healthcare, would allow everybody to have a primary care doctor, to have the regular checkups and not just go to the doctor in emergency cases, because that tends to be much more costly, because then you will probably have to require surgery, as prevented medication is a lot cheaper that way. In the end, all of us as a state would be winning. So healthcare is a deep concern, and we do have to address the cost of high medications and all the costs that we're seeing, so absolutely.
Thank you. Our healthcare system is broken. I wish I had a simple answer to tell you how we're going to fix it, but I unfortunately experienced it firsthand about a month ago, and we need to come together and we need to find a solution to fix our healthcare system. We need to make it affordable. I mean, hospitals were crying because they had no help. They have no staff, they have no doctors, they have no, they're dealing with empty rooms. Our healthcare system is broken, and this is huge, and I wish I could tell you I could fix it if I'm elected as your next state representative, and but I know it's something that we can come together as a state, as a community, and really find solutions.
Do you have any ideas on how we can fix it?
Do I have ideas? I think, first of all, it's so big. I mean, I don't even know where to start, because we need to fix mental health, we need to fix healthcare, mental health. It's a big issue, and I have some ideas that came up while I was sitting there in the emergency room for 20 hours, but I'll share them with you offline.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Asack. Next is Mr. Fontaine.
Healthcare is a big issue everywhere, not only in Massachusetts. Recently, my friend Steve Bernard invited me to be on that podium to talk about cancer. And this is a big issue, especially for the black folks living around the world, especially black people. So if we do not take action to get those hospitals and people who's passing laws to help those, especially those black folks, like I said, our black folks, we're gonna be hurt, and our kids gonna be hurt, and I think we should take action about it, be concerned, talk about it, not only talk about it, take action about it by inviting all those folks, like I've been invited myself from my friend here and from doctors, talking about how we could solve those issues together, talking to the hospitals, to the lawmakers, and everybody else. We should be able to do this.
Let's close it out. Thank you. And we'll close with Ms. Mendes.
I just wanted to add that the Inflation Reduction Act is going directly to lower prescription drug costs and then lower healthcare costs. So that will hopefully, in a more immediate way, help to eliminate some of those costs. And it's also going to do lower energy costs and building a clean energy economy by 2030 and reducing harmful pollution. So great things is still coming to Massachusetts, but definitely the healthcare cost is a priority, number one.
Thank you. So, next question. Most of us witnessed as Governor Baker signed the Crown Act into law last month, but watched how the House once again rejected the amendment of Governor Baker's dangerousness bill. As these two examples of reform involve social and racial justice, can you tell us what policies you will pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community? We're going to start with Mr. Fontaine, followed by Ms. Mendes, then Ms. Asack, and then we're going to close with Mr. Fontaine.
Okay, thank you for the question. social justice is something we have to work on because it involves everybody. Everybody who's involved and the community had to be concerned about it. But the good choice is, since we got to remember that Mr. Baker gonna be leaving soon. Soon he's gonna be leaving, so we're gonna have a new administration. So we have, if I get elected, I will be working with other folks to convince them to work on that situation because Mr. Baker probably think it's the right thing to do. But as me, who's a concerned citizen, I will be working with all those other folks around to convince them it's not the right thing. We're gonna have a new administration. We could convince them to work on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Mendes?
Yeah, so that 58 hearings, which is the dangerous hearings that was proposed, it was really a bad proposal because it was going to increase the rate and duration of pretrial detention. And it would give prosecutors an unbelievable amount of power so that they could use it as a leverage for plea bargaining. So I'm glad that did not pass. And the fact that government has to even pass laws to tell people that it's okay for them to wear their hair how they should fit, that shows how important it is for you to really look at your representatives and represent those that are truly going to reflect your values, because who you elect to office has a direct impact in your personal life, even on how you have to wear your hair and the establishment and the system. So this is why election is so important, and this is why we need to get up and we need to go vote.
Ms. Asack?
Thank you. So there'll be a new administration coming in, and obviously new state representatives. I believe in working together to come up with policies that will help eliminate social injustice. I think it's about working together, working with the community, creating policies that are enforceable and that work for the community as a whole. Thank you.
Mr. Fontaine?
Well, I could come back to something else which is most likely important, even though we do think, like I mentioned it, social justice is for everybody. Black, white, yellow, whatever color you are. It's for everybody. If I get elected, I will work on a way to bring everybody together in Brockton and work with all the other folks at the state level to make sure they understand we need social justice everywhere that we can provide it. But there's something I want to talk about quickly. I remember that you got to remember, so infrastructure is something I'm very concerned about, especially for Brockton. Recently, I think November 2021, President Biden provided to the state of Massachusetts $9.5 billion to the state. I'm wondering, as a city councilor myself, for my colleagues here, my friends here, what did they do to bring that money, a little bit of that money to Brockton to help them out?
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine.
Thank you. The next question is, how will you work to increase job opportunities for our constituents? We'll start with Ms. Asack, followed by Mr. Fontaine, then Ms. Mendes, and back to Ms. Asack for closing.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not waiting to become a state representative to help my constituents with job opportunities. I am a regular at the Chamber of Commerce events. I am constantly, I'm in contact with our workforce development. City Hall, I always encourage everybody to check the website when there are opportunities at City Hall. So these are things that I'm doing now. I guide them, we have so many resources here in the city of Brockton. We have a lot of opportunities, and I believe in guiding my constituents and finding these opportunities. So we have a lot of programs, and whether it's through the schools or whether it's through the chamber, once again, the city website is a wealth of knowledge. But I have many constituents who contact me, and I help guide them in the right direction to find work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine.
Like I mentioned, I'm a small businessman in Brockton. I provide job let me tell you, I don't ask for job. I provide job. I provide job to the small, my young people, my old people. I don't know if you know the perfect place. People work for me. The barbershop, celeb cut, people cut hair for me. The laundromat, people come and work for me. And I provide job. And remember that when I work under Mayor Carpenter as a director of community relations, I help the small business people to come over and help them out, to provide them how to do their work, to bring job to Brockton. Small business is very important in Brockton, very, very important in Brockton. Like a lady CJ right here. I help her out every time and there. They call me every time. I provide job, not only provide, I'm the doer. I don't talk. I'm doing the job. So when I get elected, I'm going to bring more job in Brockton. We need those biotech companies from Cambridge, I used to live in Cambridge, to come to Brockton because we get the resources to do it. We get the water, we get the electricity, we could do it.
Mr. Thank you for your response. Ms. Mendes.
I would like to be a member of the Labor and Workforce Development to work with the unions and enable people to increase their earning capacities, provide grants to small businesses, to train people on the job. I know every company is looking to hire, but they want people with experience. This would allow them funding in order for them to be able to train people as they learn on the job. And I'm also a member of the Greater Brockton Minority Business Owners Association, and I'm a business owner myself. And so this is something that we definitely need to do. We need to empower people so they can earn more money, that they can able to really get jobs and make our community thrive.
Thank you. Ms. Asack.
Thank you. So once again, I've done, anytime anybody's contacted me, I've worked in getting them to the right resources. But I have to tell you what I'm hearing from small business owners. I attend the Small Business Association, the Montello Business Association, the Downtown Brockton Business Association, and I talk to a lot of businesses, and a lot of them can't find help. For some reason, something's going on, and it's very hard to find help, and that's something that I would like to work together with small businesses and people that are looking for jobs and kind of create some sort of resource where they can go to apply for these jobs in our community at these small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. So, keeping on the track of money, history has shown us how powerful and impactful money has been in previous elections. What, if anything, do you think that state and local government should do to reduce the role of money in American elections? We're going to start with Ms. Mendes, followed by Ms. Asack, then Mr. Fontaine, and then we're going to close with Ms. Mendes.
That is a very good question, because there is that presumption that money can buy an election, although that's not my case. But we're seeing that, and especially even in a statewide election, one of the candidates is self-funding her campaign, and that's been the criticism. And another one is super PACs that are funding that campaign, related to Republicans that fund Republicans' campaigns, also funding Democratic campaigns. It is questions that is worth asking, and I do believe that we should do some regulations, but I don't have any proposal at this point that I'll be able to give concrete examples. But that is something that the public needs to watch, because the public in the end are the ones that are going there and they're electing these people. So yes, money makes your life a little bit easier when you're running for election, but we owe the responsibility to be informed, to know about the candidates, to know about their values, to research what their concerns and issues, what they stand for are. And that is what we need to be teaching our communities. There is laws that we can always come up with more laws, implement more laws, make things more and more transparent. But in the end, we still need to owe a duty, our responsibility, and take that and really look into every candidate. When we go vote, it's our responsibility. We're putting those people to represent us.
Thank you, Ms. Mendes. Ms. Asack?
Thank you for that question. So I definitely think there should be a limit, but I can only speak on this race right now with us three, and I can honestly say that 99% of the funds that I have raised, and I am the top fundraiser between all three of us, has come from the community, from either business owners in the community or residents in the community that believe in my campaign and my candidacy, and that's why I will do anything it takes to represent them, because they believe in me, they believe in, in this campaign, and they know that we have to raise money in order to be taken seriously, in order to get, whether it's the literature, to get the word out with signage, literature, to get the word out for their candidates. So I appreciate them. I'm going to publicly thank all of them, because without them, we wouldn't, and like my opponents, I have not put a dime of my own money into my campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Asack. Mr. Fontaine?
That's a very nice question, I really appreciate that. But you got to remember that, I'm writing, or I just have to write my name in or put a sticker for me, guys. That's all you have to do. So basically, I have to use some of my money to do that race. The rest of the money come from friends and family, because nobody did sponsor me, just a few folks from the family side, and who did sponsor me. So I'm glad I did spend my money to do it, because I'm doing it for you, District 11. I'm doing it just for you. I'm glad to spend my money for you. And I did not do it because I want to corrupt the system. I do it because I think I will be the best candidate to defend you when I get there, because I'm there. So basically, you're right. If you get money from people who get you elected, you owe them, because when they ask you to do something for them, you're going to have to do it. But myself, I have nothing to do about it.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. Thank you. Ms. Mendes?
Yes. So yes, my campaign is also very grassroots campaign. I don't really have any big donors, but the good thing is that you can go out there. It's open. People can see it. It's on OCPF, and then you can just check who's given to which campaigns and all of that. But the most important is to really check your candidates, call them if you have questions, ask them questions, find out what they're about, what their issues, what their concerns, what their values, how they're best going to represent you and speak on your behalf. The important thing too is not to allow the excessive amount of money to buy a candidate, and I believe that's why there's a limit of $1,000 per year per each person to be able to donate precisely to prevent things like that from happening.
Thank you, candidates. I will say that this next question is a three-parter, so if we need to repeat that, please let me know. Council Mendes and Asack, both of you have served and are currently serving on our city council. But Mr. Fontaine, you have worked with a number of administrators in our city, so each one of you have some knowledge of what some of the major concerns are in the city and how it operates. Using your experiences and wisdom, please share with us, what do you think the reasons for the delayed revitalization efforts for our city? The next part is, who are and what forces are responsible for the stop-and-go strategy that seems to be the one favored? And what can we do to start up again efforts that will be specific, effective, and transparent in us trying to improve and sustain economic and social development in our city? We'll start with Ms. Asack, followed by Mr. Fontaine, Ms. Mendes, and Ms. Asack.
So thank you for that question, Courtney. So the first part was the reason for delayed revitalization of our city?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason for the delay, which absolutely had nothing to do with me, because I am so pro-development that I go to meetings regularly, whether it's zoning, planning, license. I'm there. I have pushed and pushed throughout my 9 years on the city council to move our downtown forward, and it is finally happening. A lot of the development that is happening downtown, I played a huge role in, whether it's the Mayor Carpenter Garage, or whether it's 50 Center Street, or we have a few new developments on West Elm Street. North Montello, a lot of the downtown I had a huge part in, and I play a huge part in the new development with the new public safety building. I've been there, and I'm all for development. The reason it may be delayed is because of the process. COVID, I know, played a huge role in delaying things, but sometimes it's the process, sometimes it's the developers. They're waiting for funding from the state, and that's something that, as a state representative, I will advocate to help, to help make the process a lot easier, to help bring in the funds into the city to make our downtown flourish again. So the second part, I missed the second.
Yeah, no problem. Who are the forces responsible for our stop-and-go strategy is the second part.
So I don't think there's one or two specific forces. Sometimes I always say we're our own worst enemy in the city because, the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand. So I don't think anybody does it strictly on purpose. It's just the lack of communication. So I would like to see that, and I've worked as a city councilor to kind of eliminate that, to facilitate between different department heads, different departments, to facilitate the process and make it a little smoother. So I can't put blame on any specific groups. And there was a third part?
Yep. What can we do to start up again efforts that will be specific, effective, and transparent in trying to improve and sustain economic and social development in the city?
I mean, to really improve, it's all about working together. I think it's making the process transparent. A lot of times the reason things don't happen is because the process isn't very clear. So I think we need to identify the process, make it clear to developers, actually have the one-on-one, meet in small groups, have community meetings. It's all about communication, and I think that's what's going to help the process move in the city of Brockton.
Thank you. Mr. Fontaine,
All right, can you repeat the question, the first one, please?
the first one. What do you think are the reasons for the delayed revitalization efforts for our city?
All right, get to remember that, I'm not working on anything in Brockton right now. When I was working with Mr. Mayor Bill Carpenter, of course I would have given you the best answer that I can. But right now I'm running because I think there's a lack of leadership here. That's why I decided to run. This is why I'm running, because I want to be back and try my best to take a little bit of control of what's going on. So I will be glad to, but I can't. Sorry. So maybe if you get me elected, maybe I will be doing the best job to answer you. What about the next question?
Sure. Who are and what forces are responsible for the stop-and-go strategy that seems to be one favored?
Well, maybe I do have two city councilors right here. They are probably know better than me how to answer that question. Again, if you get me elected, I will make sure I get those questions answered, and I will make sure I make those things move forward, because Brockton needs to move forward, not backward or stay stable. So we need people to get leadership to help them out to move. That is what I will do when you get me elected.
Thank you. Yes.
And the third one?
The third question is, what can we do to start up again efforts that will be specific, effective, and transparent in us trying to improve and sustain economic and social development in the city?
Thank you again for the question, but I think that's a beautiful question. You know what you need? Brockton need leadership. Leadership will take control, not only word. We make things happen here. We should make things happen, not only by talking, but when you put somebody into power, you make sure they deliver what we people live in Brockton deserve. We need, district level need the leadership that we could not only talk, but do the thing that they're supposed to do. This is what I will do when I get elected.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Mendes?
Yes, the delayed is due to it's the government and it's the system. It's a lot of red tapes and there's a lot of hearings and it's a project. It starts with an idea, then we have to have public hearings, and then it's the funding and there's where the money is coming from. So there's all of these multiple parts coming in together in order to see the final step. That it really, I didn't realize how complicated all of this was until I sat in the city council and you start looking at the plans and then you start asking questions. There's more information that you need, so you can't really make a decision that night. We need to postpone it to the next month or next week or however that is in order to bring in more information. So I don't think we can really blame a person, but it's just like how the system is. And it's important to be this way because we need to have the public input. We need to do things slow because that is going to be there for the rest of the city. It's like the city history. It's not something, oh, I don't like this clothes and I'll just change and put something new. It's something that we're gonna have to live with it for the rest of our lives pretty much until decades later someone else comes back and decide to change it. So we should have public input. We should take things so that way we know everybody is being served, all voices are being heard, and we can make sure that things are moving and the community is part of that movement, it's part of that progress, is working together to see it happening, because then when it comes to fruition, it's all of us. We made this, we worked for it, we worked to get our grants and the funding and all the resources, the bonding, and all the different things that we have to do. So this is part of the process. People don't like it. We wish it would be quicker, but I think it's necessary that we do all of this so we can do it right.
Thank you. And Ms. Asack to close out.
So I have to a little bit disagree with the question because I believe that Brockton has been moving forward. It is being revitalized. We have a minority-owned business that opened about a month ago, Brockton Beer Works. It's beautiful. It's amazing. We have housing developments. I probably counted maybe about 10 that are just moving forward. New housing downtown, market rate. These are beautiful apartments for new residents that want to live in our downtown. So I see it moving forward. I see it being revitalized. We did get held back, I believe. COVID took a huge step, made us take a little halt, but we were one of the cities that were moving forward where everybody else stopped. So I like to think that we are going forward. We are moving forward. There's good things. I've been a part of them. I didn't hesitate. I didn't have a problem making decisions on the city council. I usually research my whoever's before us before they are before us, so I know what my decision or how I'm going to vote. It's always an educated vote, and I know what needs to be done for our city. So that's why I hope people will vote for leadership come September 6th.
So staying on the track of multi-part questions. Reviewing your platforms, we see the serious concerns highlighted by each one of you. Issues such as public safety, education, infrastructure, small business, lowering business tax, and so on. However, there was nothing in your platforms about the major issues for the city, such as environmental inequality, preventative health care and quality of life, youth entertainment, increased homelessness, property taxes, city revenue, and better transparent accountability for our city agencies. That said, can each of you speak about one or two of your issues in your platforms, and then address one or two of the issues that aren't in your platform, such as those that were just named, including homelessness, especially in this district, or lack of youth entertainment in the city, or preventative care in a healthy city, or environmental justice? We are going to start with you, Ms. Mendes, followed by Mr. Fontaine, Ms. Asack, and then Ms. Mendes to close.
Okay. Thank you for that question. So my platform really focuses on education a lot, but also the workforce and development that I did mention before, because in terms of education, I do believe that our high school needs to offer educational, vocational training to our kids, because a lot of our kids, when they graduate from high school, a lot of them maybe they cannot afford to go to college. Public higher education is getting to be very unaffordable and expensive, and a lot of the kids, they may need to work in order to support their parents, support their house. So it's good so that they were able to have that opportunity to graduate and have trainings as either a carpentry, plumber, to have not just the vocational school that we have, but to offer that in our high school, to expand it. And as to homelessness, you've asked, and the other issues, mental health is another thing too that I've also mentioned, and it's very important that we do need to address it. That is another pandemic that we're facing, but this one, there's not a vaccine for it, because people are suffering, especially after the whole COVID and lockdowns. We see a lot more people being on the streets and finding themselves homelessness. It's very hard. If you work 40 hours per week at a minimum wage, you cannot afford housing. And the mental health issues, it really makes things worse. So we do need to make sure that we provide wraparound services and really be assessing the needs and working directly to bring in resources and funding to this city to help address the homelessness situation. We have the surrounding communities that will bring buses with the homeless, leave them on Main Street, and they're not providing any resources to the city of Brockton. They're not bringing in any fundings. We have the resources here. We're taking them. They should be treated with this respect and
Thank
dignity.
you, Ms. Mendes.
Thank you.
Mr. Fontaine?
The budget of Brockton is $513 million. So, let me ask you guys if you know about it, $530 million. I was wondering, what do they do with that $513 million for District 11, which I am part of it, and maybe some of you are part of it. So, my platform is, like you're saying, most of us is like safety, infrastructure and education. But if you read on my website, I'm very concerned, because when I see, we do have a town, there's no playground for our kids. Where they want to go? Nowhere. So that's why we have so many kids running their bike on the street. There's no place to go. So we should be able to have a nice park like the other cities, like Milton, Cambridge, Bridgewater, to at least attract your parents. When you get your kids, you could take them to those parks and feel comfortable to do it. When I get elected, I will definitely try to do something, bring the money there.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. Ms. Asack?
Thank you. So obviously you read off, those are my main concerns, obviously public safety, education, senior housing. But so in general, it's quality of life issues that I'm looking to help our working families with. That's what it's about for me. It's about, the everyday issues that arise with our working families. But back to, our youth and not having anything here for them. I have to tell you, we have a lot of, up at Westgate Lanes, we have bowling, arcades, we have pool. We also have, for the older kids, 20-something, 20 plus, we're going to have axe throwing, which is the new thing, which can be a little controversial, I know, but it's the new happening thing that our young adults are, looking for. We also have the Y. We have this high school holds so many programs, but I think it's just a matter of telling our kids about them, getting the parents to know about them. And just back to Councilor Mendes, she mentioned that this high school has vocational. They teach nursing, they teach, they've always taught
Thank you, Ms.
repair, auto repair, so it's here.
Thank you. Ms. Mendes?
Yes. We just talked about all the redevelopment that are going around in the downtown and all the money that is really we're investing in the downtown, but until we really address the homelessness situation, really it's going to be very hard to attract businesses to the city and to be in the downtown. We have to address it. It's an uncomfortable topic, but we drive around the city, we see they're taking shifts on begging for money. We have to be proactive, we have to do more, and we have to really address our homelessness situation, really help people, have someone on the streets assessing the needs and providing help and assistance to them. So I'm looking forward to see that happening.
Thank you all. The next question is, what are your suggestions for a city that can do much better in finding creative and innovative ways to bring our district communities together? Also, how can we bring our leaders of all persuasions together to solve major challenges in our city? How do we consolidate diverse, specific, and effective unity among our different communities and different leaders? We'll go with Mr. Fontaine first, followed by Ms. Asack, then Ms. Mendes, and then Mr. Fontaine to close.
The first question is, can you repeat it, please?
Yes. What are your suggestions for a city that can do much better in finding creative and innovative ways to bring district communities together?
Remember, folks, Brockton, we do have a diversity. And to be able to bring the diversity together, we need good leadership from different culture, different things we do together. For instance, when we do have the downtown, like Mrs. Asack just mentioned it, we bring them together on a way to mingle together. You know, we are one people. We are one, regardless where the color of your skin, where you're from. I think if we get together on different things like leadership, we will be able to, to accomplish, like Cambridge, like I see Cambridge get the diversity that we could bring people together. We could do that. We get Janet here, who's been working on many things, and she's one of those folks who work on getting people together. We need leadership to bring all of us together, and I think we should be able to get it. So if we do that, we'll be able to do it. The next question is what?
How can we bring our leaders of all persuasions together to solve major challenges in our city?
As you know, we do have different leadership, probably, which is not working together. If we elect the right person and place, definitely I think we will be able to accomplish those dreams. It's not only dream, because myself, when I went to Cape Verde with Bill Carpenter, I see the togetherness that we have. The Haitian, the Cape Verdean, the white. We get here, my friend Brock. Although we work together with Bill Carpenter when he was elected, we bring the folks together. Everybody was together to bring Brockton the best that we can do. We can do it again. I think leadership, we could do it.
I don't know if you want to address the last question, and that is, how do we consolidate diverse, specific, and effective unity among our communities and different leaders?
Again, the question is kind of not difficult, but a little bit confusing in a way, because I mentioned to you we do have the black community here, we have the white community here, we have the Cape Verdean, the Haitian. To bring them together is going to be tough, but if you bring the right leadership, somebody like me, who could mingle with everybody, like day and night, I think we will be able to accomplish what Brockton needs, like the other city.
Thank you. Ms. Asack.
Thank you. So I'm going to try to answer all three together because I think it's related. So it's already happening on a smaller scale, I think, than what we would like to see or what your question is asking. For example, I already see the Cape Verdean Association at Chamber of Commerce events. That, as a group, they're there, they're represented. Mayor Sullivan meets regularly with clergy in our community from different, religions or, different churches, religious institutions. So this is happening. I know leadership, whether it's at the NAACP or Haitian Community Partners or, the leadership goes to, they serve on nonprofits, whether it's the charity guild or the family and community resources. So people are coming together. You know, minorities and non-minorities are working together to work together to move Brockton forward. So I see it happening. Maybe because I'm inside, maybe it needs to be more visual. We need to get these meetings so they're televised so people realize what's happening. But the leadership is meeting firsthand with the diverse community. And I think it needs to continue and grow because we have a lot of different organizations here in the city of Brockton.
Ms. Mendes?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I think it's so important because the city of Brockton is so diverse. A way to bring it all together, and I do see it is happening. People coming together, but they need to be informed of things that are going on. Things needs to be translated in their language. Like this forum, we could have a Portuguese translator, Cape Verdean, Spanish, Haitian, so that way other communities would feel welcome too because it would have been in their language, and just really continue to do the work, continue to open up the channels and the lines of communications. What I can do myself, what I've been doing as a councilor at large, and what I will continue to do as a state representative, is just facilitating that, is making sure that I am at the communities, whether the Haitian community at their churches, whether it's the Cape Verdeans, whether it's at Prover, wherever it is, because I want it to be accessible to all communities, to all diversity, and that way it'll bring the people together.
Thank you. And Mr. Fontaine, will you close us out?
Thank you again. When you heard folks talking, I understand, the question was kind of confusing, but let me repeat, and let me try to, try to repeat what I said in a better way. I don't say things just like this. I've been in this community for 30 years. I mingle with many folks. When I go to Cape Verde, when I go to the Haitian community, when I go to my Italian community, when I go to the Irish community, to the black community, I feel comfortable, and they feel comfortable with me. So we need somebody like me when we sit down day and night time. When they get to the State House, so when they come over mingling with all those folks, they will be able to comprehend what Brockton needs. Because it's not the talk, it's the action that how we will be comfortable with me. This is how we're gonna be accomplishing what we need for Brockton.
Thank you.
So thank you, candidates. President Ellis will now ask the final questions of this evening.
Thank you, guys. This will serve as your closing statement as well. We will start with you, Mr. Fontaine. You are running for the state representative nomination as an independent candidate. You have worked with all political persuasions, but you decided to chart an independent course for political office. That could be a good thing or a disadvantage. How did you arrive at that decision? What are your inspirations and challenges you saw for our city that made you select an independent position in order to achieve the nomination? And can you give primary voters reasons why they should take a chance and favor your nomination over the nominations of Shirley, Asack, and Rita Mendes? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you again for the question, and I appreciate that you're really hosting that night as a chair of the NAACP, and all of you folks who came out tonight. Let me tell you, for the past 30 years that I've been living in Brockton, I believe in Brockton. Brockton is a beautiful city. We could really make the best of it if you get the right choice. As someone who's going to be running as a sticker campaign or as a write-in, I believe your choice will be the best. I will not talk about why that happened to me, but God created me for a reason, because I'm going to show people, the first time they're going to get someone elected with a sticker campaign or a write-in, because a lot of you know what I have done. A lot of you know I'm capable of mingling with all of you. When I get elected, District 11 is supposed to be better than what I see right now. It's not today, I did not jump to that race from one side to come tonight to say I'm going to be running. I was there 22 years ago, and I see the struggle of the parents, the bus drivers, the small business people. I've seen it all. This is why I decided to run. Otherwise, I will not run. We need representation. We need some good representation who could deliver for Brockton. Brockton deserves better, and I think when I get elected, you folks will put your stickers into that third position, which is right after my good friend here, and the third position. You're going to put it on because I could do the job better, and I think I'm the best candidate. Again, thank you. Have a good night. If you need a sticker, call me, 774-259-0096. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. The next question is for Ms. Asack. You got the attention of many Democratic primary voters when you were quoted in the Enterprise that voters should give you the nomination for this newly drawn 11th Plymouth seat because I know how to get things done, quote, unquote. That is a bold and straightforward statement and appreciated by many voters. Certainly, you will bring your 9 years of experience as an elected official and you know in politics. Would you share with us some of the crucial things you were able to get done in your now 5th term with the City Council? Do you have a plan that will help you get as much done in the State House as you have got done in City Council? 2 minutes.
Thank you, Phyllis, for that question. So, yes, that was a quote that I stated. I do get things done. I believe I'm a true leader. I work hard, and I work tirelessly for my community that I love. I've been serving for 9 years, but I've lived in this district for over my whole adult life. So I know this district. I've served this minority-majority district for the past 9 years, and before that I was involved in my kids' schools. I was involved in my church. I was involved in this community. I know this community. And what did I get done in the City Council? I'm the only candidate up here that has actually worked on ordinances, that has passed ordinances. From day one when I was on the City Council, I worked on creating ordinances that work for the community, for the residents. I worked together with the residents to make something that's enforceable. I've worked on numerous ordinances, and that's what this job's about. We're running to be lawmakers. We're not running to be translators or social workers, even though I can translate in French or Arabic if anybody would like to. But this job, we're running to be lawmakers. We're running to represent our constituency. So what I will do, I will continue doing what I do best on the City Council, and that's communicate. I work well, I create real relationships, just like the one here with the NAACP, with Haitian Community Partners, with the Cape Verdean Association. I've been working with these organizations. I support them, whether it's through fundraising or their ideas. I was actually one of the first councilors 7 years ago to sit down with Mr. Steve Bernard when he spoke about prostate cancer and how it affected the minority community. I was one of the councilors there at those meetings, and I helped bring awareness. We shared this information. So I've been here. I have worked hard for this community, and I want to continue to work hard at the state level because I believe Brockton deserves somebody who's going to work for them, not somebody who's going to take about a year or two to figure out the job, because I will know it firsthand when I'm there at the elected as your next state representative.
Well, thank you. The last question of the night. According to you, Councilor Mendes, quoted in Enterprise, you received the largest number of votes for the council at large race, and that encouraged you to take the next step, and that is to seek the nomination for this newly drawn seat. As you know, our City Council is 11 members. However, in the State House, we are talking about members up in the hundreds. It is clear that with so many members in the State House, savvy awareness of the process and protocol, collaboration, cooperation, and compromise are important qualities to have in order to accomplish anything. What will be your cooperative plan if you win the state seat?
Thank you so much for that question. It's really an honor for me to be here today because it's It's amazing when we look where we've come, all the things we've gone through our lives, and just how you mentioned that this past election I came #1 in the city, just shows really my commitment to this city. But this is a new election. This is now the time to continue to fight for working people, for hardworking people in this city. And the more that I was there trying to do the work in my community, the more I realized that my hands were tied because our funding, our resources really come from our state. And it's important to have someone there to represent us in the state level that really understands the community, that is there in the community, that can speak the language of the community, that has a legal background, a doctor in law, that is an attorney, that can understand the complexities of the law, that can understand the complexity of all of that. And my first priority when I get there, I need to get to know the other colleagues in the State House, because they're the ones that is going to be voting for important things to come to the city of Brockton. So they need to hear about Brockton. They need to know who Rita Mendes is. They need to know about the 11th district, because they need to know who Brockton is and stand about. Because when I'm there to fight for resources and funding, they're the ones, how you said it, that I'm going to have to work with and compromise to make sure that we are getting the most, that we are getting the most for our dollars, that we are getting the most for our city, that there's someone that is truly fighting for all of us. And I'm there, and I ask for your vote, I ask for your support. So I really do ask that on September 6th, you do vote for Rita Mendes. I'm the second on the ballot, the second Rita on the ballot, so make sure you vote for me, because I will be there fighting for you every day to really work for this city. And I've earned lots of endorsements, but my #1 of endorsement is really the city of Brockton, is the residents, is the community, and I do ask for your vote when you do go vote there on September 6th. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you. Let's give a hand for all the candidates. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, panelists, and thank you, audience, for attending. I did have a special request of all the candidates. They wanted to know if you would spend a few minutes outside of Brockton High answering questions to them. So if you are in agreement, they will meet you outside. But before you do that, I have to get a photo, okay? Thank you, guys. Please vote. Early voting, mail-in voting.